Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope everyone is having a great start to the morning. I wish everyone a very new Monday, right? Because Monday is the beginning of the week. So today we will be going through the financial markets, looking at how the markets have been updated since the weekend had just finished. So we would be expecting some amount of volatility as of today. And most importantly, with the festive season of Christmas coming in just 2 days, we would be looking at how the markets can be influenced by these holidays as well. So, how many of you are having a great start to the morning? Let me know your comments in the chat box so that I can get to know more about you. Where are you from? Which cities do you belong? How is your day going on? How happy and enthusiastic are you for today's session? Do let me know in the chat box. All right. So, I hope you can start the session. All right, let me start with today's first live streaming session by giving a quick introduction about myself. I am Harsh. I have 8 years in the financial fields. I have been trading the forex markets, the commodity markets like oil, gold, silver, as well as the US indices like the Nasdaq 100, the Dow Jones 30, and the S&P 500. I am more of a technical trader whereby I specialize in technical analysis such as supply demand, price action, order flow analysis, swing analysis, wave analysis, and Fibonacci retracement analysis. Now, when it comes to the field of technical analysis, the field is so vast and expansive, correct? But the categories that I have mentioned, the six categories that I have mentioned, are my major focus. I have been blessed to be trained and to be mentored by some of the brightest minds in the financial markets under the guidance of people who used to work as floor traders on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I have gained invaluable amount of knowledge and wisdom from such people. I have also been successful in handling $25 million worth of portfolio. And on top of that, I've also been consistently able to generate around 30 to 35% profitability on an annual basis, right? So the reason for me to share all this information with our beautiful community members is so that they can be rest assured that the information that is being provided by Harsh to our community members is being provided by someone who has the knowledge, who has the experience, as well as the expertise, right, when it comes to the financial markets. So, once again, let me ask you how excited are you for today's live streaming sessions? How many of you would be wanting, sorry, would be wanting to get more hot stock recommendations? Please, for everyone who are new to our live streaming sessions, we have been making sure in terms of maintaining and keeping a very detailed track record of our trades that have been provided to our community members since the last 3 months, right? So over the span right from 18th of September, you can see that we have been consistently generating, consistently providing you, as well as consistently generating profits, right, on a consistent basis. Now recently, as you can see, based on today's title for today's live stream session, you can clearly be aware that 10% profitability has been generated just as of last week, right? Now, how many of you would love to have these kind of returns in your own trading accounts? Do let me know in the chat box, right? Remember, we are going to be having a lot of interaction. So I would sincerely request all of you to interact with me, to have more conversations going on so that I can understand my community members on a much better level and provide you with the right content so that you can gain value from it. How many of you agree with me? If you do agree with me, let me know in the chat box. So here we at Dolphin Markets are going to make sure, Harsh is going to make sure to provide you with valuable content, right? Content in terms of analysis. We would be analyzing the entire financial markets and looking for news events and sentimental analysis. We would be providing you with hot stock recommendations, right? Hot stock recommendations are money making opportunities that are provided from me to you so that you can be able to make money. And third but not the least, I also provide you with education content, right? Since we have our live streaming sessions which span all the way from Monday till Friday, correct? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and each work day I will be making sure to provide you with three live stream sessions, correct? So the first two live stream sessions are based when the Indian stock market is up and running, correct? That is where we would be analyzing how the markets are performing, whether if I do come across a hot stock recommendation, I will be providing it to you, right? Because I want to make sure that our community members are making money while watching our live stream sessions. When the third session takes place, that will be occurring after the financial markets have closed for the day, correct? So after the Indian stock market has closed, we would be shifting our focus from the share market to content creation and providing you with valuable education, right? So whether it is psychology, mindset, technical analysis, anything that will be adding more value to you, Harsh will be making sure to provide it to you, right? So how many of you are willing to learn and earn at the same time, right? So please make sure to keep attending our live streaming sessions, right? Our request to you is to make sure that you keep attending our live stream sessions so that you can, replicate the trades. Since we have been consistently providing you all the way from mid of September, we have been showcasing our credibility in terms of proving our trading potential to the Indian demography. We are currently entering into the Indian markets and we want to make sure that we can provide value to our Indian customers, right? So which better way to provide value than the Indian stock market, correct? So we have been diligently providing you with hot stock recommendations all the way from mid of September. And to everyone who has been watching our live streaming sessions, we have been able to generate a cumulative profitability of 237%, right? With 38 trades taken. So for those of you who think that it's only based on one or two trades that we can make money, not at all. We believe in taking a structured approach when it comes to providing you with hot stock recommendations, right? We believe in risk management. We believe in high probability trades, right? So 38 trades. So on an average, we are having 12 to 13 trades per month, and we have been able to generate an average profitability rate of 5% per trade, right? So how many of you remember these are the two trades, which is IP rings that had been closed on 19th of December and Hindware that had been closed on 16th of December. Both had been closed at a cumulative at a cumulative sorry, at a cumulative profitability of 10%, right? How many of you would love to make these kind of returns? Let me know in the chat box. Let me ask each and every one of you who is attending this live streaming session, what are your expectations when it comes to the stock market? What are your reasons? What are your expectations? Do let me know in the chat box. So people are saying that yes, Harsh, of course, the main objective for us to attend this particular live streaming session is how we can make money, correct? And that is exactly what Harsh is providing to you. I am providing you with hot stock recommendations in the Indian share market as of now that can make you money, that can, sorry, that can generate you profits consistently. We are also providing you with value in terms of analysis and education. So when you're getting a trifactor, remember it is analysis, hot stock recommendations, and education. So when you're getting a trifecta bonanza of such high value content, it is in your best interest that you be a part of Dolphin Markets, that you subscribe to Harsh's live streaming sessions so that you can earn and learn at the same time, right? How many of you would love that? Do let me know in the chat box. So, as and how we come across a hot stock recommendation, I will be personally making sure to provide you with all the necessary parameters, right? Whether it is the name of the stock, whether it is the entry, whether it is the 5%, or whether it is the position size. It is very crucial to be aware that whenever you are attending my live streaming sessions, there are two simple rules that need to be followed, right? First rule is be consistent with all my live streaming sessions, because I myself do not know when I will come across a hot stock recommendation that I can share to you, right? So for you to make sure that you do not miss on any opportunity, be consistently be consistent with attending our live streaming sessions. And the second most important rule is keep your trading account open, because once I provide you with a hot stock recommendations, you need to take it on your platform, correct? How many of you are understanding what I'm saying? Unless and until you're not taking action, it does not make sense for you to make money, right? So you take action in terms of taking trades on your account, and then you can see the magic unfold, right? In terms of making money. Last but not least, I have to make sure that since our value that we are providing to you is of high, it's a top notch quality content based. We want to make sure that we are providing our services to those who are willing to take action. I'm talking of none other than the VIP customers. Who is a VIP customer? VIP customers are those people who are willing to be a part of Dolphin Markets, who are willing to subscribe to Harsh's live streaming sessions, who are willing to take action on their trading accounts based on the recommendations that we are sharing, and who are willing to make profits. How many of you are willing to make profits? Let me know in the comment box, correct? All right, perfect. So I hope everyone is saying yes, yes, Harsh. We want to make profits. We want to see profits coming in, and that is what Harsh will be providing to you. But make sure you are attentive. Another important piece of information is this current month will be the last month where we would be focusing on providing our content on public live streaming um, channels like YouTube, right? Moving forward in the month of Jan, we would be shifting from the public live streaming to the private live streaming. So, everyone, we have been providing you with our analysis, with our strategies, and we have been proving to you on a consistent basis that yes, it is possible to make money in the financial markets. And second, it is possible to make money consistently. So make sure to be a part of Dolphin Markets. Make sure to subscribe to Harsh's live streaming sessions. For that is where you will be making sure that you are making money as well. So coming to the trades that we had taken as of last week, which have achieved our profit target, we had taken a trade on IP rings, and as you can see, it has been phenomenal, right? So the trade ideas, the trade recommendation had been provided to you on 12th of November. Yes, it did take a while because the markets had been ranging sideways, right? From support to a resistance, but nonetheless the prices had gone and hit our target. Sorry, not once, not twice, but almost thrice. How many of you had taken trades on IP rings? Do let me know in the chat box how many people had taken trades and how many had closed trades on IP rings. All right, let me know in the chat box. We had also taken the trade on Hindware, right? So Hindware Home Innovation was the other hot stock that had been provided. This was also provided on 13th, around 13th of December, which was Friday, right? So that was last to last week's Friday. But nonetheless, as we can see, we had achieved our 5% profitability, right? So a 5% Profitability had been achieved on 16th of December. 16th of December was last week's Monday, right? So exactly 1 week before, we had been able to achieve a 5%. Now I hope everyone understands why we focus on the 5% profit target, right? Anyone who can let me know in the chat box, why do we focus on the 5% profit target? Let me know. We focus on the 5% profit target because 5% is what we have observed over the last 3 months, that prices are willing to move in our direction before a correction can take place. So the prices had exactly moved by 5% before the prices had corrected to the downside. So eventually, our main purpose of these live streaming sessions are for us to provide you with hot stock recommendations that can make you money consistently. Now, how many of you want to make money consistently? Let me know in the chat box how many of you would love to make money consistently. Remember, there are many methodologies or approaches when it comes to making money in the markets. Some people like to take few trades and they expect the markets to move, right? Let me just show you an example. Some people like to take trades and exit here, making a sizable amount, right? Maybe 20%, maybe 30%. But you have to be aware that when such scenarios are needed to be converted to reality, there has to be put in a good amount of time, energy, and effort, right? Because the markets are volatile. The markets can go up, the markets can reverse back down, the markets can go up again, right? So it is a matter of probability. Rather than making money on fewer trades, expecting to make a lot, we focus on taking more number of trades, right? Being consistent in the number of trades that we are taking, such as the one that was taken on hindware, and we are able to close trades at a consistent profitability of 5. So we provide you with more opportunities to enter, as well as we provide you with more opportunities to make money. How many of you are agreeing to what I am saying? I can see Sophia in the chat house. Hello, Sophia. A very good morning. Like always, it is always a pleasure to have you in our live streaming sessions because your participation makes me more confident and makes me put more energy and effort into providing valuable content, right? So coming back to the charts, as we had been talking about, these have been the two trades that we have made money just based on last week, right? And since Harsh is being able to provide you with these recommendations for those who have taken trades, how many of you have taken trades for these particular hot stocks? I'm talking about IP rings and I'm talking about hindware. How many of you have taken trades on this? If yes, do let me know in the chat box. And also let me know how many of you have made profits on these two trades, right? Correct. So everyone is saying yes. Some have taken, some have made 5%, some have made 10%. So very good job, everyone. That is how you take part in our live streaming sessions. Make sure to take action so that if you take action, you can see the magic being unfolded. What is the magic being unfolded? Is the power to make money, right? So let's continue with the markets and let's see how and what the markets are doing, how the markets have started on as of today. We will have a quick look. All right, so starting most importantly with the overall sentiment, right? What is the overall sentiment of the market showing? So as of today, as you can see, sorry, the Nifty 50 has been ahead by 146 points, right? Or 0.62% appreciation in the value of the price. So, except for Zomato, which has been down by 0.3%, the rest have climbed. So, overall, there has been a positive sentiment in the markets, right? With the major gains led by Tata Steel, followed by Tech Mahindra, Bajaj Finance, and Reliance Industries. So on the Nifty, 42 stocks are trading higher, right? That is a huge majority of the index. Now, why is the market having a good amount of optimism coming in? is because of in India, the markets are taking strength from the lower than expected core inflation, right? Let me just read it again. Markets in India are taking strength from lower than expected core inflation reading in the US, which has worked as a counterbalance to the Fed's hawkishness on rates and which also boosted shares on Wall Street, right? So, lower than expected core inflation readings coming out has subdued the effect that had taken place because of the federal rate cuts that had been taking place on the US dollar, correct? How many of you are understanding? Let me know. Now, based on this, we can see that as of today morning, majority of the indices are trading in greens, right? So prices are advancing for majority of the indices, which is a very good sign. As you can see, whether it is Nifty 500, 100, mid cap, small cap, all majority of the indices are in green, and that is a good sign for us, because if the economy is having a positive optimism as of today, that should be affected on the individual stocks that we have taken as well, right? So based on this, we can clearly see that the overall sentiment in the markets have been bullish or optimistic, correct? But in terms of the FII, we can be clearly seeing that there is still net amount of selling pressure, right? There is more offloading of funds that are taking place by the FII. How many of you are understanding what an FII is, right? Let me know in the chat box what is the full form of FII. So FI stands for Financial Institutions Investment, right? So the big banks and institutions abroad who have invested in India are currently pulling out funds. So overall, based on the last week, as we can see, the last 5 days that we can see, which has concluded on 20th, which is being a Friday, there is still been a good amount of net deficit, right? So more amount of funds being pulled out from the economy. When it comes to the DII, so DII, anyone who would tell me what is the full form of DII? So even in terms of DII, the domestic institutional investors, they have been putting in funds. So there has been an influx of 1,374 crores, but there has been a deficit of 3,597. So there is optimism in the market where the lower than expected core inflation data of the US has led to optimism in the global markets, but still the FIIs are still pulling out funds from the economy. And due to the FIIs, we can be seeing that overall, yes, even though the markets are having optimism as of today, the sentiment is still bearish, right? One thing that I missed to showcase you was this, and that is the sentiment. The overall sentiment, as you can see, is still bearish, right? With only 20% who are still being bullish, with a massive 39% who are staying at a neutral, or a conservative sentiment approach, while a whooping 41% are still having bearish sentiment. So on in one hand, we have positive news events which are coming in, which are resulting in an appreciation of the indices as of today. On the other hand, we have the sentiment which is still being bearish, right? So how many of you are understanding what is being said? If you have any doubts, if you have any queries, you can always make sure to get back to me so that I can do my best in clearing all your doubts, right? So when we are looking at our indices as of our watch list as of today, remember we are providing with hot stock recommendations. Now there are few which have been provided to you but are currently either sideways or currently in a deficit, right? So we would be looking at those and looking at how well we can improvise to the market conditions and adapt to the changes, right? How many of you agree with me when I say that trading is based on probabilities and trading is not based on certainties? If you agree with me, let me know in the chat box. And if you don't, let me know that too. Please make sure we are having our conversation so that our interaction, so that I can understand our community members on a much better level. Correct? So, in terms of critical industries, as you can see, we are currently had provided you with a hot stock recommendation on 11th of December, right? 11th of December is 2 weeks prior. More or less, the markets have still been sitting on a sideways trajectory. Bear in mind that currently the prices are very much into a strong area of support around the 156 or 157 price level area, and we would be expecting our prices to appreciate in value. The best part about this particular hot stock is that since the prices are into a strong area of support, even for prices to return back to the opposite area of resistance, we would be attaining our 5% profitability, right? Isn't that marvelous, right? Even though the markets are correcting, we have been showcasing on a regular and a consistent basis that we have been able to provide you with money making opportunities, right? Which can make you actual profits. How many of you are understanding? How many of you would want to replicate these trades and see the magic take place, right? 10% in just last week. Any one of you who can be able to make 10% consistently on a weekly basis, I'm pretty sure many of you will say maybe we can make, but maybe in a month, or maybe in a year. So we are being very meticulous and consistent in making these kind of profits. We looked at even IP rings, which I hope people who had taken trades on IP rings and hindware have done fantastically well and have closed their profits. To those of you who have done good job on you, right? So IP rings had provided where the price has consecutively approached the target area for the third time, right? So that is the power. For those of you who have taken the trades and have closed it, very well done, correct? We would be looking at the other trade which we had provided, which was based on Poonawalla. Now, with the overall sentiment of Poonawalla, which is still being bearish, right? Even though the banking index, let us quickly have a look in terms of what the banking index is showing as of now. So, let me go to trading view again and let me type at the Nifty bank index, right? So the Nifty Bank Index gives us an overall outview of what is the entire sentiment. Even for the banking index, we are currently seeing that the markets are into a strong area of support. The blue color moving average that you can see is the 200, right? Is the 200 SMA. SMA. What is SMA? Anyone who have been aware of these terms, please let me know in the chat box what is the full form of SMA. So SMA stands for simple moving average. Based on the daily 200 SMA, the prices are more or less exactly around the area that we are observing prices to be. So eventually, we would be expecting the prices to appreciate. If the banking sector starts to appreciate, we would be having a similar reaction to our individual stocks as well, right? So looking at Poonawalla, which comes into the banking and finance sector, right? So quickly, for those of you who are not aware what Poonawalla company is, Poonawalla FinCorp is a non-banking finance company which engages in the provision of asset, consumer, and MSME financing through its pan-India network. More or less, it still comes into the banking and finance sector, with the current prices still correcting, significantly. And people have to be aware that there have been a lot of reasons, especially with their quarterly two earning reports, which had been far, underperforming as expected, right? With the huge loss that had been taking place, the markets are more or less still correcting, and there has been a strong correction since the onset of Jan. So all the way from Jan till December, it's been a year. and this stock has been on a downfall ever since, correct? But since we are here to make money consistently, we do expect, based on the relationship between the Nifty Bank Index and the individual stock of Poonawalla, we should be expecting the prices to correct soon, right, in the coming days. And for any updates on this particular chart, I will make sure to provide to you once we have a confirmation, correct? We also looked at Hind oil. Now, at Hindall, as you can clearly see, there have been factors which have been, responsible for the downfall of the prices of Hindustan oil exploration all the way from August, right? Anyone who would love to share their ideas on what are the reasons why this particular stock has been in a downward trajectory all the way from August? The main reason has been because, first and foremost, of geopolitical factors, right? Everyone who's aware that yes, there have been a lot of geopolitical factors that have been going on across the globe, whether it is Iran, Israel, whether it is Russia, Ukraine. The Whenever a geopolitical uncertainty takes place, the energy and oil sector is always the first sector that takes a hit, right? And second, we have a huge correction in the international crude oil prices. With even the international, let me just show it to you quickly, based on the Nifty Energy Index, right? Even the Nifty Energy Index, as you can see, has been taking a good amount of downfall. So if the Nifty Energy Index is taking a downfall because of the corrections in the international crude oil markets, the Indian sector is also taking a hit, as well as the individual Indian stocks. So currently, there has been a strong correction, as you can see over here. But with the correction getting diminishing, right, the rate at which the bearish sentiment had been prevailing has reduced. So as of now, the markets are more or less, from the exponential downfall, the markets have reduced their intensity. And we had also talked from a seasonality approach that during the month end of December to the starting of Jan, we would be expecting an appreciation, right? We had talked in terms of the year 2023 and 2022, all the markets for their respective previous years. Remember, what is seasonality? People who are looking at this live stream session, can anyone let me know what seasonality is? So seasonality is nothing but the repetition of price movements during a particular year, right? Like the way we have winter, then we have spring, then we have summer, and we have autumn. Similarly, in the markets, there is a general tendency for prices of a particular stock to, either have a bullish sentiment or bearish sentiment during specific months of the year. How many of you are understanding this? So based on the year of 2023 and 2022, even looking at as back as 2021, you can clearly see that the prices more or less had an appreciation, right? You can see the dotted line that shows December. So as and how December is coming to an end, we are overall seeing a positive optimism based on the last years, right? So if that is occurring, we expect the markets to showcase a similar scenario as well. So let me just make sure I can draw the lines properly. Let me use a parallel channel. So as you can see, the prices are more or less currently from a very strong movement, right? Let me just show it to you again. From a very intense selling pressure that had been taking place in the markets, we are currently seeing that the markets are more or less starting to reduce their selling intensity, right? Even in terms of volume, I'm sure everyone is aware and can see that the markets are more or less reducing their volumes, right? So previously we had huge amount of volumes coming in, but now the volume has reduced. Anyone who can let me know why the volume is being reduced in the market as of this month? Sophia is writing, is it still advisable to enter the stock? I want to add to my position. Kriti, so KR. So Sophia is asking about Kriti. Yes, Sophia, we will be talking about Kriti as well. But please let me just finish this particular stock, and we will get to Kriti after this. All right, sounds good. So talking about this particular stock, please be aware that we are seeing a decline in volume. Anyone who could let me know why there is a correction in the Indian, sorry, why is there a reduction in the volume for the last month of December, especially the last 2 weeks of December? The reason has been because Christmas is coming in. We have the holidays of New Year's also coming in. So when such, when the last 2 weeks of November are generally the time when people want to take a break, and especially the big banks and institutions, the fund managers, the board of directors all take their vacations during the end of December and the starting of Jan. So that is the reason why there is a drop in liquidity in the markets, right? Now, Sophia had been asking, so I hope everyone has understood that yes, even though the entries had been provided, we will let you know in terms of what would be the next best possible, instruction that can be provided to you based on the improvisations in the market, right? So Sophia is asking in terms of Kriti, is it still advisable to enter this stock? Sophia, very much as you can see, Kriti is first. Let us start to understand in terms of which sector Kriti belongs to and how we can connect the sector performance to the individual stock performance, right? So let me get to Kriti and type it out. So we have Kriti Industries, and as you can see, Kriti Industries comes into the general industrials, correct? So let us quickly go and check what the general industrials are showcasing. In terms of sector analysis, we can see that the general industrials, right, is currently sitting at a deficit, right, of 0.68%. 133 companies are being currently declining based on the overall index performance, and only 65 companies have been doing significantly well. So looking at Kriti, we can clearly see that even though the sector has been performing or has been underperforming as of now based on the value of Kriti, with the markets which had opened at 166.25 as of today morning, the prices are at 163.75, right? So almost a 2.25 rupee correction that has been taking place with the last years, whether it is 3 years, 1 year, or the last 12 consecutive months, the performance of Kriti has been phenomenal. It is only the last quarter to the last month and week that we are seeing a decline in the performance, correct? Remember, in terms of ROE, everyone who is aware of ROE, how many of you are aware what ROE is? ROE is return on equity, right? The measure of a company's net income divided by net value of its total shareholders' equity. ROE values have risen significantly based on last year, which is a good sign. ROA. How many of you are aware what ROA stands for? ROA stands for return on assets, right? It is an indicator of how the company is profitable relative to its assets, total assets. So ROA has also increased from a deficit of negative 5.6 for the year 2023 to 4.8 as of this year, right? 2024. In terms of EPS, how many of you are aware of what EPS is? Let me know in the chat box. Come on, you have to be more interactive. I want you to interact more with me so that I can, understand and gauge how well my community members are being able to understand. So in terms of EPS, as you can see, EPS is nothing but earnings per share, right? So it is a measure of company's profitability calculated by dividing the quarterly earning reports to by the number of outstanding shares. Even in terms of the EPS value, from a negative 4.6 deficit in the year 2023, we are currently seeing with an appreciation of price of value of 4.4. So the numbers are showcasing optimism, the numbers are showcasing strength. In terms of the income statement, as we are looking at this particular stock based on the last quarter, right? So we have March 2024, June 2024, and September. The value of the revenue has increased for June but has decreased for September, right? So currently we are sitting at 0.12k in terms of revenue, while at the same time when it comes to net income, right, the total income that is evaluated after cutting off taxes and depreciation and amortization, we can currently see that the net income has also been more or less at a stagnant. So when the values of ROE, and EPS are showing optimism in the markets, in terms of net income statement based on net income and revenue, it has been slightly reducing as of the quarter, right? And we have already been clearly aware in terms of the performance or the reason that the performance was being undervalued, right, based on the last 3 months. Let us quickly look in terms of the balance sheet. Now, everyone who's aware why we use or what is the purpose of a balance sheet. So, the purpose of the balance sheet is to evaluate the increase or decrease in the price of assets, right, or the value of assets and liabilities. So, based on the last year or the last 2 years, we are seeing that in terms of the liabilities have been more or less stagnant, right? With 0.28 for last year and 0.30, so an increase of 0.02k. But in terms of assets, the assets have been rising much more or considerably higher compared to the previous years, right? With the current year being at the highest of 0.45. So when an asset is rising compared to its liabilities, that is a good forecast for the company, that the company has, can prove or can endure the future circumstances and have a future prospect that it has decided upon. Even in terms of looking at its peer comparisons, right, with every company in the industry, there are going to be competitors as well. Now, based on the competitors, we can clearly see that Kriti has been having a P/E ratio of 37.2, right, which is overvalued compared to its competitors such as Arrow Green and PPL. But in terms of PB ratio, which is the price to book value ratio, we are currently seeing a value of 5.36, which is again slightly overvalued, but compared to Arrow, it is much lesser, right? PPL, on the other hand, is slightly less at 3.24. Remember, Critical also provides a dividend yield of 0.12 when comparing to its competitors, which are providing much more, but Cool Caps has not been able to provide anything as of such, right? Now, people have to be aware why the decline had been taking place when the company had been performing so well based on the last 3 years, based on the last year, and based on the last 12 consecutive months, why there has been a decline in the last quarter as of now. So, you have to understand that in terms of the numbers for critical industries, the net sales were at 116.37 crores in September 2024, which had been down by 21%, right? From the same value that was observed in 2023, which was at that time at a value of 149.66 crores. So, first and foremost, the net sales have been reduced by 21.58%, as well as the net quarterly losses were at 3.7 crores in September, which has been down, right, 254% from 2.39 crores. So the net loss has also been, increased considerably based on the values of the last year. So these have been the two reasons why the stock, as of now, based on the 3 months, has been underperforming. But just because a company is underperforming does not necessarily mean that the company is bad, correct? since the companies are being listed or that are being listed on the national stock exchange have to go through a strong scrutiny and very thorough check, right, from none other than SEBI. How many of you are aware what SEBI is in the England stock market? SEBI is the Securities Exchanges and Board. It is basically the governing body or the police when it comes to the Indian share market. So, as you can see, if a company that is being listed after a thorough check based on the governing body of the share market, you need to understand that yes, the company has the power of future improvements and expansions and the power to generate profitability. That is the reason why a particular share is listed on the stock exchange in the first place. So, Sophia, coming to your question, whether you are it is advisable to enter on this particular stock, we will provide you with the necessary add-ons in terms of whether we need to add an additional trade. But please bear in mind, as of now, we have no such inclination to do so. We are very much sitting very close to our entry area, which is 170, 175. Yes, the prices have approached into our area of support, right? Now, from a technical perspective, you have to understand when the prices are have created a strong area of support and the prices start to appreciate, the general tendency for prices will be to appreciate in the future. So please bear in mind, the prices will be having a bullish bias in the coming days. It is only a matter of time before such a such a sentiment takes place, even in terms of the histogram, right? In terms of the MACD, the histogram has been showcasing bullish sentiment. Yes, the moving averages have still been below that, show that yes, the overall sentiment, though being bullish, has not confirmed an uptrend as of now, but it is a matter of time. Then we would be seeing in terms of how the markets are moving, right? Let me just remove or update the line. So we have been using the 200 daily moving average just to show you how its impact on the Nifty has been taking place, right? So we are going to be coming back to our initial 21 moving average. Now, in terms of the volume, the volumes have also more or less started to decline, correct? With the volume declining, people, please be aware, in the next 2 days we have the festive season of Christmas that will be taking place, and very shortly we will be having the New Year taking place. During the last 2 weeks of December is when the liquidity dries up, where all the banks and institutions are offloading the positions from the market. So either the markets are going to be having a sideways movement or a very slight bearish or bullish movement, but not too severe, not too impulsive because of drop of liquidity. Correct? How many of you are able to understand? So, Sophia, do not worry. We have provided you with the hot stock. It is only a matter of time before we see the stock to appreciate in value. Correct? I hope people are understanding. Please bear in mind that as of today, yes, there has been good amount of optimism in the markets, correct? But overall, majority of the equity indices being optimistic, right? So Nifty 100, 250. So overall, it is a good start for Monday. But in one hand, even though we have the rise in the equity indices, mainly because of the lower than expected core inflation data in the US, right? Which has acted as a counterbalance for the Fed's hawkish need. When the interest rate on the US dollar had been reduced by 25 basis point, that had resulted in, anyone who can answer me, what had been resulted on the US dollar because of the Fed funds rate cut. So in terms of the US dollar, let me just show to you quickly. The US dollar had taken a significant rise, right? When the data was announced on 18th of December, there had been a huge strength that had been observed in the US dollar. Why? Because the Fed rate cut had reduced the interest rate from 4.75 to 4.5. So whenever there is a reduction in the interest rate, there is a there's a strong appreciation in the value of dollar, because people can borrow dollar for a lesser interest rate, and that is why the prices of US dollar, the value of US dollar has shot up. But because the value of US dollar has shot up, it has an inverse relationship on the indices. So the major index that is followed in the United States of America is the S&P 500, right? So S&P 500 is a major stock that people look at, and that has taken quite a good amount of correction. Why? Because of the inverse relationship. People need to be aware that because it had effects on the US economy, the other global markets had also been affected, right? That included the Indian indices as well. So in terms of Sensex and in terms of Nifty, there had been a strong correction of prices as well, especially with the value of the rate interest rate coming in. When the markets were closed, the moment the markets opened the next day, there had been a strong gap and the prices had continued down. Currently, based on what the Nifty is currently showcasing, we are currently seeing that the markets are returning back to the area of an important flip zone, right? What is a flip zone? For anyone who can answer me this question, so flip zones are nothing but key levels where prices are either acting as support or resistance, and they play out significantly well. We might be having a formation of a head and shoulder, an inverse head and shoulder. If the prices are able to continue up, we would be expecting the next level of resistance, which is going to be around the area of 24,500, right? So we will be keeping an eye on this particular stock, and we will be letting you know in terms of what the market will be doing. How many of you are understanding what I'm saying? If you have any doubt, or if you're not being able to understand a particular concept, you can always get back to me, right? And I will try my best to resolve that query at the earliest. Hello, Rocky. I can see Rocky is in the house. Hello, Rocky. Good morning. I hope you're having a great start to the fresh week. All right. Rocky is writing Nifty has started growing. Is it a trap or good to make new positions? Rocky, we had talked and mentioned about why the indices have been rising. It is because of the inflation data that has been expected in the US market has been expected to be reduced, and that is why there is optimism in the markets, right? So now whether the markets are reacting to it, or whether the macroeconomic event such as the inflation reduction in the core inflation data, we would be seeing it on the markets. And yes, since the markets are currently, like I mentioned it from a technical perspective, since the markets have already started to show from creating lower highs to creating of the first higher high, there is a tendency for the markets to continue up. But for that to take place, it has to make sure to take out this important key flip zone. So we will be keeping an eye on this, since the indices are having optimism today, but there is still a good amount of FII liquidity that is still being pulled out from the markets, correct? So we had talked about this as well, but let me just repeat it quickly to you. Based on the last 4 or 5 days, sorry, based on the last 4 or 5 days, we have been seeing that there is still a good outflow of liquidity from the markets, and that is still having a bearish sentiment. So in one hand, we have the indices that are rising, but on the other hand, we even have the overall sentiment which is bearish, and that is why majority of the people are looking at a neutral sentiment, whether and plus we have the festive season of Christmas coming in. When we have such a festive season like Christmas coming in, people generally tend to stay away from the markets, right? So it is only a matter of time, and hopefully by next year we should be having a more clearer outlook, right, in terms of what the markets will be performing. But these have been more or less the two trades that we had been focusing on, which were IP rings and hindware, right? I'm again asking, I would love to know everyone who have taken trades on these two hot stocks, IP rings and hindware. We had done phenomenally well, where the trade ideas that we had provided had achieved 5% profit target for each trade. So we have been sitting at a cumulative profitability of 10%, right? How many of you have taken and how many of you have made profits? Please let me know in the chat box. So I hope everyone has understood what is the main objective or the main reason that people have been attending our live streaming sessions is first and foremost to make money, right? I want to make sure to provide you with hot stock recommendations. The moment I come across a high probability hot stock recommendation, I will share it to you. As of today morning, still being Monday, we are evaluating the markets and we will provide you if and when a hot stock recommendation arrives. Does that sound good? If yes, let me know in the chat box, right? Who all are excited? We still haven't come across as of yet, but in the coming hours, we hopefully should be able to get a hot stock recommendation. And the second objective for people attending our live streaming sessions is to get the overall understanding of why the market is behaving the way it does, correct? So I hope everyone has had a good understanding. We had talked about the overall sentiment in the market, which is still being bearish, but because we had mentioned that in terms of the data that had been shared in the US in terms of lower than expected core inflation data, there has been a strong optimism in the markets, right? With Nifty 42 stocks out of 50, right? So only 8 stocks were declining, but 42 stocks were advancing or overperforming based on the index, especially led by the metal index. And we had we had very good, very important blue chip companies like Tata Steel, almost up by 2%, Tech Mahindra, HCL Tech, Bajaj Finance, Reliance Industry. All the major blue chip companies are doing significantly well. We had looked at the overall outlook in terms of the performance of the indices as of today morning. Most of them have been advancing or overperforming based on the index, but we also had looked in terms of the value of FII versus the DII in terms of the funds that are being transmuted whether into the economy or outside the economy. We had informed that overall there still has been pressure of the FIIs in terms of pulling out funds from the Indian economy. So people need to be cautious. Yes, in one hand, the lower than expected core inflation data has acted as a strong catalyst for the markets to revive or have bullish sentiment. But on the other hand, we still have significant FII data that are still suggesting a bearish sentiment in the market. We did look at all our hot stock recommendations in terms of the ones that are currently running and in terms of those that have been achieving our desired profit target. Remember, our focus lies in making money, and we have been doing that quite consistently, right? 10% has been achieved as of last week, and we do expect to make similar returns for this week as well. So moving ahead, the next live streaming session will be taken care by my fellow analyst, Mr. Aditya, who is a fundamental analyst. And for those of you who love to inquire about numbers and how we can connect fundamental analysis to the markets, he will be best in terms of explaining it to you, right? So I hope everyone attends my second live streaming session where I'll be talking more about how the markets are moving. And if I do come across a hot stock recommendation, I will definitely make sure to share it with you. So everyone have a great continuation for the morning, and I will see you later.